everyone, and welcome to Story Collider's Stories of COVID-19. I'm your host, Erin Barker, and this is the fourth week of our new 5-week mini-series featuring stories of COVID-19. This week's episode is all about masks, the many varied reasons we have for wearing them, the uncertainty many of us felt around them in the early days of the pandemic, and most of all, the very real and intense emotion that often surrounds them. Throughout the pandemic, I've had a recurring nightmare. I'm somewhere busy and crowded like Coney Island, and all of a sudden, I realize I'm not wearing a mask. I don't even have a mask on me, and I'm trapped in a crowd. Cue me waking up in a cold sweat. Now that I'm fully vaccinated, which, by the way, I highly recommend doing if you are at all able to, and I extend my sympathy to those who haven't yet had the opportunity. But now that I'm fully vaccinated, that fear hasn't necessarily gone away. Just today, as I record this, President Biden and the CDC updated their guidelines to say that Americans who are fully vaccinated against COVID-19 no longer need to wear masks outdoors in most situations, except for large gatherings. And while it feels exciting to envision a potentially maskless future on the horizon, I still feel a lot of trepidation about that. In today's episode, we'll hear a story about how one man learned to love the mask and how another learned how to help others do the same. Our first story is from Sean Wellington. It was recorded last January at his home in Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
It's late March in North Carolina where I live, and COVID is here. It's total chaos and uncertainty, and nobody knows what the hell to do. So when I get an email from a local nonprofit asking for volunteers to bring food to some older folks, I think, that's something I can do to help. I'm pretty young, I'm healthy, I can do this. So I show up Thursday at 12:30, just like the email said, and I sign in, and I see that I'm matched with a woman named Doris Clark, and I am feeling so good about this. I can help Doris. I see that everybody here who's working at the nonprofit is wearing a mask. And the email didn't say anything about wearing a mask. They're also wearing name tags. And one of the guys, Larry James, he asks me why I'm not wearing a mask. But it's not really a question. And I want to say, hey, Larry, I'm volunteering here, man. I'm doing my part. I don't want to wear a mask. It's uncomfortable. I just want to help out and bring Doris her box of food. Isn't that enough? Larry's shaking his head, takes this box of food and walks with me to my car, and then he tells me to wait. Larry's a big dude. He's like a gentle, jolly, giant type of guy. He's in his 60s, got this big smile. He's not really the kind of guy you want shaking his head at you. He comes back with a mask. He says, here, wear this. You got to protect Doris. I want to say, Larry, yeah, this flimsy paper mask is going to help Doris? No, listen, what's going to help Doris is me bringing this big box of food so she can eat. So she doesn't die from not eating food. Let's get on with it, man. I'm ready. He puts the box of food in my trunk. He says, and your kids. You got to protect your kids. And I want to say, hey, Larry, I don't have kids. But I don't say that either. I nod. For Doris. For the kids. And then Larry asked me a question. And it's one of those questions that once you hear it, you can never, ever unhear it. You got grandkids? Everything is in slow motion. It's like I just got popped hard in the side of my head. I'm seeing some stars. I think he's talking about one of his grandkids. I can't really talk. I just nod. Okay, Larry, I promise. I take the box of food to Doris's home, and she's lovely. Welcomes me into her home. She's got pictures everywhere of her family. Big family. Kids and their kids. She thanks me, and I feel really good about this. But the whole time on my drive to Doris's home and then on my way back to my home, and now that I'm home, I think of one word. That word isn't kids. It's grandkids. Now, here's the thing. I know we're all getting older. And I know there are some people my age who have grandkids. It's possible, biologically possible. I could have grandkids. I've got friends that are not that far away. And I know that a lot of people love it. Like you're a grandfather with grandkids, with this big happy family and these beautiful children and these dinners and these get-togethers and holidays. And I imagine that's exactly what Doris and Larry have. But I'm not that guy. Things didn't work out that way for me. I don't have that kind of family, and it's okay. It really is. I never really thought about having that kind of family, big or small. But if I'm not that guy who has that kind of family of his own with grandkids, then I don't want to look like that guy. I leave my house for a second time that day. I've got to get some stuff at Walgreens. I park my car and I'm looking in the rearview mirror and I'm doing my best to try to see me as other people see me, how Larry James sees me. And I know what they see isn't exactly what I see. I know that. But if you were to see Larry, man, that dude, he's got like lines all over his face. He looks like a person who has grandkids. I don't look that way. Now, there's a lot of people around me and some of them are not wearing a mask, but I promised. Okay. So I grab my new mask from my passenger seat. I really don't want to wear it. It's uncomfortable. But I do, and I get my stuff from Walgreens, and I'm waiting in line 6 feet from 2 other people. Both of them are wearing masks, and I'm wondering, does he have grandkids? Does she have grandkids? And it's kind of hard to tell with the mask on, and now it's my turn. And the woman behind the counter, she could be my daughter. She asked me for my ID. I'm sorry, what? I need to see a license or ID with your date of birth. She's ringing up this red wine, this cheap Merlot that I put in my basket. You need to see my ID because you're not sure if I'm 21. Like you're thinking maybe I'm a teenager, like one of these local college kids. Well, of course, yeah, take my license, of course. And she's ringing up my stuff and I'm thinking, she gets it. She totally gets it. She sees me the way I want everyone else to see me, the way they should see me. Fuck Larry. She gets it. And she gives me my receipt and she's talking with a colleague behind the counter. I say, excuse me. I say, I know I'm wearing a mask, but do I look underage? Like a teenager? She shakes her head and says, no, it's policy. Yeah, no, I get that. Right, policy. But, I mean, there are people that come into the store, like let's say the kind of people who look like they might have grandkids, those kinds of people. I mean, you're not going to ID them, right? And she nods. All right, so I can't pass for a teenager or a college kid, but do I look like I could have grandkids? I mean, I know it's possible, and she cuts me off. You have grandkids? I share with her what Larry said. So I say, no, I don't have grandkids. But it's hard to have a conversation with the damn mask on. I'm not used to it. It's uncomfortable. Mostly what I need is for her to tell me that Larry, this gentle, jolly giant of a man who volunteers at a nonprofit and who gave me a mask, I need her to tell me that he is wrong. Without the mask on, my entire face, just like Larry saw. And so I break my promise. Take the mask off and I ask again, do I look like I could? And there's a few moments. I think she knows it's not really a question. She shakes her head. No. And we both have a little laugh. And I leave and I'm back in my car and I'm looking in that rearview mirror again. And I'm thinking maybe this mask can buy me a little more time. I drive home, I pour a big glass of that cheap Merlot, and I realize how absurd all of this is. This morning I was a grandfather, this afternoon I was a teenager. And I know it's not too far away. That time when it's probably too late to have a family of my own. And that's okay. But I am going to look like that guy. if I don't already. And wearing a mask makes no difference. I also know that next Thursday at 12:30 sharp, I'm going to show up, and I hope to see Larry. I want to answer his question. No, Larry, I don't have grandkids. But you do, and Doris does. So maybe I can help more than just bringing a box of food once a week. Maybe I can buy all of you a little more time too. So, yeah, Larry. I'll wear the damn mask.
That was Sean Wellington. Sean lives in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, but at his heart, he's still a New Yorker, since that's where he grew up. He's been teaching in classrooms and performing on stages for more than 2 decades and on 5 different continents. Last year, he founded Grit, True Stories That Matter, which produces weekly events, ongoing workshops, and a weekly podcast by the same name. This podcast series is produced by me, Erin Barker, with assistance from Story Collider's Deputy Director Nissa Greenberg and Senior Podcast Editor Jun Chen. Special thanks goes out to Story Collider's board, our Interim Executive Director Leslie Griesbach-Schultz, and our Operations Manager Lindsay Cooper, without whom none of this would be possible. The first story featured in today's episode was produced by Gastor Almonte, and the second by our St. Louis team, Sam Lyons and Zach Stovall. Our theme music was composed by Eva Gertz of the Fulton Street Music Group. Until next Friday, this is Story Collider signing off. Stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask, get vaccinated if you can, love each other. Thanks for listening.